Welcome back to video number 2 in our series about how to give your child an interest-led education. I'll be talking about timing and readiness. But if you missed video number 1, which is about opportunity, check it out in the description below. So let's jump right into it. All right, so timing and readiness. This can be really hard for parents who have been traditionally schooled and still really hard for seasoned homeschooling parents like myself. Our culture really just thrives on earlier is better. But guess what? Earlier is not better. It's not better at all. It actually can be really harmful to your child to force them to learn something before they're truly ready. We like to think as parents that we know when our kids are ready and capable of being ready, but we can't 100% be sure of that. Now, I'm not saying don't teach your kids how to read or to do basic math because they say they're not ready. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is go slower than you think. Listen and observe your child and be okay with hitting pause on things when you hit some bigger resistance. Hopefully some clarity will come to you on this point as you watch this video. So I want to talk to you a little bit about Abraham Lincoln. He said that if you have 4 hours to cut down a tree, spend 3 hours sharpening the blade. So if we think about that, in the same manner, it is ultimately a waste of time and possibly harmful to press a child to attempt intellectual activities when they are not truly ready. It is like trying to cut down a tree with a dull blade, or like I like to say, herding cats. Instead of cutting the tree down sooner, you waste all 4 hours. It's better to sharpen the blade and then proceed. American schools really push for children to learn things earlier than they are mentally ready to. Reading is one of them, and it really drives me crazy. I've been told by so many parents that specifically the sight words that their kids need to know before going to kindergarten. But guess what? I didn't need to know any sight words before going into kindergarten, and I am now a fluent reader. I don't really understand that. I would personally love if American schools would just drop the whole earlier is better idea instead of, forcing kids to learn things on cue. I want you to think about this for a minute. We don't force babies to learn things early. We trust that our baby will learn how to do all the things: rolling over, talking, walking, sitting up, getting their teeth, all on their own timetable. We fail to consider that slightly older children have their own timetable in reading, math, and other intellectual skills as well. I'm willing to say that our culture is more biased in thinking that learning is somehow more valuable when it occurs counter to the child's internal timetable. Yet some research suggests exactly the opposite. So, for example, one study indicates that kids introduced to formal reading lessons in the 2nd grade instead of the 1st grade, but we actually start formal reading instruction in our schools in the US in kindergarten since this study has been done. So starting reading instruction in 2nd grade instead of 1st, not only did the kids catch up, but they caught up by the 4th grade, but those kids that started later actually became more enthusiastic and spontaneous readers as adolescents. I will tell you, I truly wish I knew this when I started teaching my first child how to read at 5 years old, by the way, which I do not suggest. It was a total mistake, at least for me. Not every child is the same, but starting my child to learn how to read at 5 was a total mistake. And if you have more than one child, you will know that you make probably your worst mistakes on your firstborn children. But if I didn't push and think that she needed to start reading lessons at the age of 5, we would have avoided so many tears, shame, and placing a mental block on her love for reading. To this day, though she loves audiobooks and being read to, she's always trying to avoid reading out loud because of the possible embarrassment or shame of not being perfect in it. And I can completely take responsibility for that. I am actively still working on fixing the mental damage that I did to my child through pushing her to read way too soon. Now, with my two other kids that came after her, I took a very gentle approach and didn't push any reading lessons until they wanted to learn how to read. And they're now 7 and 8 at the filming of this video, and they read wonderfully and really enjoy reading. So with going with a more relaxed, child-led learning approach, your child can be ahead of peers in reading, but they could be behind peers in understanding numbers, and in the middle for recognizing patterns. Every person's brain is different and develops at a different rate. Some recent brain research has shown that forcing children to perform mental tasks that they are not ready for can actually cause long-term learning difficulties to happen. So let's say for a minute you have a child that is on the fast end of development in certain areas or possibly in all areas. I want you to be sensitive and to make sure that they have stimulating, challenging work to do in their area of interest. If your child is in traditional school, instead of them doing a bunch of busy work that just wastes their time, maybe you want to talk to their teacher to allow them to have extra time to read or draw or work ahead or possibly leave the classroom and tutor other students. So I personally don't like the terms gifted or talented. These labels imply that the speed of development is somehow related to one's ultimate gifts and talents, and it truly isn't. There's also a stigma attached to the non-gifted kids, but in any case, whether your child is a late bloomer or an early bloomer, what really matters is paying attention and having unprejudiced, flexible attention on your kids. So each day you can decide what their needs may be, regardless of what you or the school assigns them. So let's talk about the truly inner timing of your children. So that would be an authentic, like soul-based life learning. This is when life is slow and unworried. The exact opposite of our American culture, am I right? So we need to be so intentional with our parenting to give this particular gift to our children. We need to step outside of our mental chaos of having our kids achieve, overcome, win, and outside of our need to control ourselves and others, which is super difficult, by the way. I'm going to guess this will take you a long time to achieve. I mean, I've been working on it for years myself, and I still find myself from time to time backsliding. But when you are truly able to allow your child to achieve and grow in their own personal timing, we can trust our children to grow and learn. And it's a type of mindset where we can refuse the world and attend to the souls of our kids. With allowing ourselves to truly trust in our child's God-given learning and personal growth timeline, we can let go of anxious, future-fearing parenting. When we parent or educate from a place of fear, we sacrifice our child's present, the here and now, and the importance of living in the moment. So why is it so difficult for us parents to respect our kids' timing in learning things? I want you to sit with that for a minute. That is such a big question. I'm sure you can easily think of something. My thought is this. As parents, we want the entire world for our children. Am I right? Every blessing, every opportunity, every success. And we want that for ourselves too. But we as adults are always in, or often seems like, in a hurried panic about everything. The American culture is rush, rush, rush constantly, and we're just constantly stimulated all the time. And it's just a part of the very air that we breathe. So that makes us think in the back of our minds that our kids will end up on the streets if they don't learn how to read by the age of 8, or they don't know their multiplication tables. But I'll let you in on a secret for a second. I've never learned my multiplication tables. And guess what? I'm not homeless. I don't think I'm stupid. And I've achieved a lot of things in my life that I am very proud of. If your kids don't have something down as awesome as you may feel they should, it won't be the end all for them. Let's say you have a genuine concern that your child is struggling in an area and you have given them lots of time to see if they have worked it out and you respected your child's individual timeline, but you still feel or know that you need to step in. Please do it. Go for it. You are the parent. You know what they need. And as a good parent, you will do what you can to solve the issue. So there is no inherent problem with kids learning things at different times. But if your child is in the school system, there are real consequences for kids being slow. So these consequences are being held back a grade, put into a stigmatized class or a group for slow kids. This was something that happened to me, by the way. I was put into resource classes because I needed more time to work on my English homework. I needed to ask more questions just to get a better understanding. And I was always pulled from the classroom. And I always had to work on my English homework outside of the classroom. And in many cases, I understood the material, but I just didn't move fast enough in the classroom. So I always got pulled out. But anyway, kids can be subject to disrespect from other kids and feel confused and lost when the class is learning a skill that builds one on another and they're not ready to move on. These are very real problems, but the way to address them is to not hurry your child. Instead, do what you can to change the situation, reassure your child that there is nothing wrong with them, but be truthful that you'll work together to make sure that they get what they need and will not suffer long-term consequences for being their own individual. So this approach is light years away from trying to fix or rush or accelerate your kids or catch them up. Whenever you start thinking or hearing in your head that your child is behind, just stop. The word behind is an imaginary and basically useless concept. When you are home educating, you are using a completely different yardstick of measurement. So please, if you are using the traditional school's measurement for process and success, you will need to change your mindset in order to give your child an interest-led, self-directed education. All right, let's wrap up this video with this. Respecting your children's timing truly means not allowing them to start learning a subject when they're not ready to, but also respecting their pace once they do begin. So some kids will start learning or want to learn something early, but learn it slowly over time. Some kids will delay beginning, but plow through the material and pick it up really quickly once they start. And then some kids will begin early and just get it, and others will start late and learn slowly. And all of it is okay. All right, friends, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please share it with a friend. If you feel like it will be helpful, give it a thumbs up and respectfully comment your thoughts on the video below. I'll be back in the next video, video number 3, talking about interests. But in the meantime, if you are new to homeschooling, please get your free ebook on the 9 steps on how to get you started. That is free and in the description below. I also have free homeschooling planning sheets that you can print out and use. You can grab those in the description below. But in the meantime, I wish you blessings on your home education journey. Bye-bye.